when we always making videos talking about, they hating on Caitlin Clark because, she got the Nike deal. It's looking like that could be fact.
WNBA viewership just hit a 23-year high. You know who's behind it? Caitlin Clark. But some people aren't happy about her success, and they might be wearing stripes. Let's talk about that Indiana Fever versus New York Liberty game. 1.1 million views. That's insane, right? Clark's making waves, and everyone wants to watch. But here's the thing. Not everyone's cheering. Imagine this. You're the hottest rookie in the league, bringing in crowds like never before. But every time you step on the court, it feels like the refs have it out for you.
But more importantly, that viewership finally crossed over 1 million views without Caitlin Clark.
Weird calls, missed fouls. It's like they're trying to slow you down. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You know what's crazier? We've uncovered something big. There's a plan brewing, and it's not just about bad calls. It's threatening the whole game and Caitlin Clark's career. Want to know what's really going on? Keep watching. You know those controversial calls against Caitlin Clark? They're not random. There's a pattern, and it points to something much bigger than just bad refereeing. Picture this. Clark's on fire, absolutely dominating the court. She's making moves that have the crowd going wild, but then, out of nowhere, the whistle blows. A foul on Clark? Everyone's confused. The replay shows clean contact, but the ref's not budging. This isn't a one-time thing. Game after game, we're seeing questionable calls against Clark, technical fouls for celebrations that other players get away with.
That the WNBA was headed in this direction before she got here, and I'm here to tell you, no, it wasn't. Y'all owe this 1 million views to Caitlin Clark.
Offensive fouls that look more like solid screens. It's like there's a target on her back, and the refs are taking aim. But here's where it gets really interesting. Did you know WNBA refs make just $425 per game? That's pocket change compared to their NBA counterparts, who rake in $7,000 for the same job. Talk about a pay gap. Now, think about Caitlin Clark. This rookie sensation is lighting up the league, bringing in record viewership, and landing massive endorsement deals. Her Nike contract alone is worth millions. That's got to sting if you're a ref struggling to make ends meet. Is it possible that some of these refs are letting their jealousy affect their calls? I'm not saying it's right, but put yourself in their shoes for a second. You're working your tail off night after night for less than $500 a game.
Highest WNBA final numbers in 23 years. Caitlin Clark fans should be celebrating this.
Then you see this young star walk onto your court, knowing she's making more in a day than you do all season. One insider even said, if I'm only making $425 per game and this lady is making $28 million to dribble a ball down the court, I'm jealous. That is my belief to what happened with these WNBA referees. That's a pretty bold statement, but it makes you think, doesn't it? This isn't just about Caitlin Clark, though. It's about the integrity of the entire game. If refs are letting personal feelings influence their calls, that's a huge problem. It undermines everything the WNBA stands for: fair competition, showcasing the best talent in women's basketball, and growing the sport. And let's be real, Clark is exactly what the WNBA needs right now. She's bringing in new fans, attracting media attention, and raising the profile of the league. But if she's constantly battling against unfair officiating, it could hurt her performance and potentially even her career. Imagine being in Clark's shoes. You're trying to focus on your game, to show the world what you can do. But in the back of your mind, you're always wondering if the next whistle is going to be another bad call. That kind of pressure can mess with your head, no matter how talented you are. This whole situation is putting a spotlight on some serious issues in the WNBA. It's not just about one player or a few bad calls. It's about the massive disparities in pay, the pressures facing officials, and how all of this impacts the quality and fairness of the game. Now, here's where things get wild. Remember that $425 per game refs make? That number's about to blow this whole situation wide open. It's not just about jealousy. It's a symptom of a problem so big it could shake the WNBA to its core. Think about it. We're not just talking about a few bad calls against Caitlin Clark. We're looking at a system that's putting pressure on everyone, from the players to the refs to the league itself, and it all comes back to money. Let's zoom out for a second. Women's sports have always faced an uphill battle when it comes to equal pay and recognition. The WNBA is no exception. Players fight for better salaries, better conditions, and more respect. But what about the refs? They're caught in the middle of this struggle, and it's affecting the game in ways we're only just starting to see. Imagine you're a ref making $425 per game. You're working your butt off night after night, making tough calls in high-pressure situations. Then you see Caitlin Clark walk onto the court. She's got a multi-million-dollar Nike deal. She's bringing in record crowds. And suddenly, you're face-to-face with the massive inequality in the sport you love. It's not hard to see how this could lead to some serious problems. Maybe some refs start making calls based on their frustrations rather than what's happening on the court. Maybe others feel pressure to keep star players in check to level the playing field. Either way, it's messing with the integrity of the game. But here's the crazy part. By potentially targeting players like Clark, these refs might actually be hurting their own chances for better pay. Clark's bringing more eyes to the WNBA than ever before. More viewers mean more money for the league. And in theory, that should mean better pay for everyone involved, including the refs. So we've got this weird situation where the very people who could help boost the league's profile are facing pushback from those who should be benefiting from their success. It's like the WNBA is shooting itself in the foot. And it's not just about Caitlin Clark. She's just the most visible example right now. This problem could affect any rising star in the league. Imagine being a young player, finally making it to the big leagues, only to face unfair treatment because of larger economic issues. It's enough to make anyone question their career choice. The real kicker? This whole mess is threatening the growth of the WNBA just when it's starting to gain serious momentum. We're seeing record viewership, more media coverage, and growing interest from fans. But if the integrity of the game is in question, how long will that last? It's a complex problem with no easy solutions. Raising ref salaries might help, but it's not a magic fix. We need to look at the whole system, how players are paid, how refs are trained and compensated, and how the league can create an environment where everyone feels valued and respected. The irony in all this is that players like Caitlin Clark are exactly what the WNBA needs to address these issues. They're bringing in the attention and the money that could help raise all boats. But instead, they're facing resistance from within the very system they're trying to improve. So we've got this perfect storm of drama in the WNBA, right? But hold up, what if I told you there's a way to clear the skies? There's a game plan brewing that could change everything, and it starts with you. You heard that right. This whole mess with the refs and Caitlin Clark, we might actually have a shot at fixing it. And I'm not talking about some pie-in-the-sky dream. There are real moves being made behind the scenes that could turn this ship around. First up, let's talk about those refs. Remember how they're only making $425 per game? That's barely enough to cover gas and a nice dinner. No wonder some of them might be feeling a little salty. But here's the thing. If we bump up their pay, we might just see a big change in how they call the game. Think about it. If refs are making a decent wage, they're not going to be as stressed about making ends meet. They can focus on doing their job right without all that extra baggage. It's like taking the lid off a pressure cooker. Suddenly, everything starts to flow a lot smoother. But it's not just about throwing money at the problem. We need to look at the whole package. Better training, more support, maybe even a mentorship program for new refs. The goal is to create an environment where these officials feel valued and respected. When that happens, you bet they're going to bring their A game to every match. Now, here's where it gets really exciting. The bigwigs are starting to pay attention. Amber Cox, the president of the Indiana Fever, she's not just sitting on her hands. She's out there, having conversations about how to make things better for everyone. Players, refs, the whole shebang. Cox and other team execs are looking at ways to support fair play and help players develop their skills. They're talking about creating programs that could help refs and players understand each other better. Imagine a WNBA where everyone's on the same page, working together to make the league the best it can be. But here's the kicker, they can't do it alone. That's where you come in. Yeah, you, sitting there, watching this video, you've got more power than you think. Ever heard of fan advocacy? It's a real thing, and it can make a huge difference. We're talking about using your voice to support changes in the league. Maybe it's pushing for those ref salary adjustments we talked about, or how about calling for more transparent officiating processes? You could start petitions, flood social media with your ideas, or even write to your local WNBA team. The point is, when fans speak up, the league listens, because at the end of the day, they need us as much as we need them. And let's not forget about showing up. When you buy tickets, watch games on TV, or even just engage with WNBA content online, you're sending a message. You're saying, hey, this matters to me. I want to see it grow and improve. Now, I know what you're thinking. How's all this going to help Caitlin Clark? Well, picture this. A WNBA where the refs are well paid, well trained, and focused on calling a fair game. Where team execs are actively working to support player development. And where fans are engaged and pushing for positive change. In that kind of league, players like Clark can really shine. No more worrying about weird calls or hidden agendas. Just pure, unadulterated basketball at the highest level. That's the kind of WNBA we all want to see, right? All right, let's wrap this up. We've seen the craziness with the refs, the money issues, and how it's all messing with Caitlin Clark's game. But here's the good news. Change is coming. Team execs like Amber Cox are stepping up, looking for ways to make things fair for everyone, but they can't do it alone. That's where you come in. Your voice matters. Watch games, buy tickets, and speak up about what you want to see in the WNBA. Every little bit helps. Imagine a league where refs are paid fairly, players can shine without drama, and everyone's working together. That's the WNBA we're heading towards. And with stars like Caitlin Clark leading the way, the future's looking bright. So let's keep pushing for change and watch this league soar to new heights. The best is yet to come, folks.